Hello, and thank you for joining us today for the Morphix Technologies presentation on the detection of methamphetamine labs and their effects on first responders. We hope that you find the following information informative and educational. Our goal is to help spread awareness of the significant problem in the United States and help to educate first responders about the great threat they face when they respond to the scene of a potential meth lab. Today we'll be reviewing what methamphetamine is and how this drug's production and use are spreading throughout the United States, as well as how its production and use are affecting first responders. Finally, we'll discuss how first responders can protect themselves against the harmful effects that can occur when encountering a meth lab. Methamphetamine is a powerfully addictive stimulant that dramatically affects the central nervous system. The drug is made easily in clandestine laboratories with relatively inexpensive over-the-counter ingredients. These factors combine to make methamphetamine a drug with high potential for widespread abuse. Methamphetamine has become the #1 drug of choice for abusers since the 1980s, surpassing cocaine. The meteoric rise in use is due largely to its commonplace ingredients, ease of manufacture, and low costs. Illegal production in small labs using homemade recipes increased rapidly in a little over 10 years. The Drug Enforcement Agency, or DEA, spearheaded legislation since 1986 to track sales of pseudoephedrine, the drug which may be found in over-the-counter cold and cough remedies. In 2005, Congress passed the Combat Methamphetamine Epidemic Act, requiring any medications with pseudoephedrine be kept behind the pharmacy counter and also toughening sentences for meth traffickers. By 2006, a UN World Drug Report cited over 26 million meth addicts in the world. The number of addicts equaled the combined number of cocaine and heroin users. The United States in 2006 had 1.4 million of the world's meth users. This growing and disturbing trend impacts the infrastructure and services of small towns, suburbs, and cities across America at an alarming rate. The chemicals used are highly toxic and explosive. Additionally, addicts modify recipes and manufacturing methods to escape detection by law enforcement. Being in or near a meth lab is extremely dangerous, both while the drug is being cooked and after a lab has been deserted. During the production of meth, there is a risk of fire, explosion, and exposure to toxic fumes. After a cook, the toxic nature of meth ingredients leaves behind hazardous waste. 6 pounds of hazardous waste are generated for each pound of meth manufactured. The average cost to clean up a meth lab is $5,000 to $25,000. Sadly, some properties are sold with the new owner completely unaware that the home was previously a meth lab and facing risk of toxic chemical exposure. In the 1980s and 90s, officers rarely suited up in chemical protection suits and breathing tanks. Today, officers are more aware of the dangers and will suit up in chemical protection suits, if their department has them, or call their local hazmat department to deal with the situation. As a result, many officers have experienced the immediate effects of exposure with burning eyes, throats, and coughing, while others, after repeated exposures, have chronic effects. These may include esophageal problems, autoimmune disease, heart attacks, strokes, gallbladder problems, and other rare disorders. In at least one case in Utah, a former officer died of causes believed to be related to frequent exposure to the chemicals involved in meth production. Because of the rising number of meth labs and the threat they pose to first responders, how they respond to a potential meth lab can make all the difference. Officers should ensure they wear proper personal protective equipment when entering a known meth lab. However, a first responder does not always know the call they are taking could lead them to a clandestine meth lab. Oftentimes, the officer is called to a domestic dispute and finds himself or herself in the middle of a makeshift meth lab. The first responder can take the extra step to protect themselves in such scenarios by wearing the Chameleon Clan Meth Lab Detection Kit, a field-configurable chemical detection unit manufactured by Morphix Technologies. The Chameleon is a low-cost, easy-to-use, hands-free solution for first responders. It contains disposable cassettes that detect 5 different toxic gases commonly found in methamphetamine production. It is the best early detection method available to determine if harmful chemicals are present in an unknown situation. Most police and EMS agencies do not have full body protection suits available to them, thus the need for a simple, inexpensive method such as the Chameleon to determine if chemical pollutants are present. The chameleon can be used for whole house or shake and bake methamphetamine situations. In addition to the protection of officers, the chameleon can also provide probable cause for search warrants. The chameleon, unlike current colorimetric detection, is designed for use in a wide variety of operating environments. It can be used in desert heat, Arctic cold, or tropical conditions. It can even be immersed in water. It detects gases and vapors in air, where many other technologies only detect hazards in liquid or aerosol form. For toxic chemicals, the gas form is the most likely danger to first responders. The sensors change color when the toxic gas is present and require no power or calibration. The chameleon is wearable and designed for easy on, easy off fit on the wearer's forearm. It can also be worn over most turnout gear or level A suits. Watch the video in the bottom right-hand corner to see an example of a sensor changing color when a toxic gas is present. Unfortunately, the rise in methamphetamine usage in America is a problem that seems to only be increasing. Our first responders need to be educated and protected against this hazardous and potentially fatal trend. If you'd like to receive more information on the chameleon and how it can protect your department, please contact us toll-free at 800-808-2234 or locally at 757-431-2260. You can also reach us by email at customerservice@morphtech.com or visit our website at www.morphtech.com. We hope you enjoyed this presentation, learned a few things about this increasing threat to first responders, as well as a few tips on how to protect yourself from it. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.